Toronto, winter 2018. Police break down the door of a quiet apartment in Thorncliffe Park. Inside, a man is handcuffed and another lies restrained on a bed. The suspect, a 66-year-old landscaper named Bruce McArthur. Within days, detectives start digging up his client's gardens and uncover a horror beneath the snow. Toronto, 2017. For almost a decade, men connected to Toronto's gay village had been vanishing. They were middle-aged, many of South Asian or Middle Eastern background. They spent time around the bars and cafes near Church and Wellesley. Some people met online through dating apps like Grindr. Then they simply disappeared. The first was Skandaraj, gone in 2010, then Abdul Bazir, then Majid. All three lived within blocks of each other. All three vanished under similar circumstances. Detectives logged the cases, but without bodies or evidence, there was nothing to prove a connection. By 2017, the list had grown. Salim, Andrew, Dean, Krishna, 8 men, all tied in some way to the same city blocks. Within the village, the fear was growing fast. Posters of missing men covered telephone poles. Candlelight vigils were held at Barbara Hall Park. Some believed a serial killer was targeting the community. The police weren't sure there was no pattern they could prove until June 26th, 2017. That was the day Andrew Kinsman disappeared. Kinsman was well known in the village, a 49-year-old activist and building superintendent. His friends reported him missing within 24 hours. Inside his apartment, investigators found nothing unusual, but on his wall calendar, one note stood out, a single word. It read, Bruce. With McArthur now in custody, investigators turned their attention to Mallory Crescent. The property belonged to one of his regular clients, a couple who'd hired him for years. Behind their home, McArthur maintained a small garden shed and several large planters. Police brought in cadaver dogs, and within hours, they hit on a scent. Forensic teams began dismantling the planters one by one, and inside they discovered human remains, dismembered and buried in the soil. The backyard was now an active crime scene. Over the following weeks, more remains were found, 8 victims in total. Each planter held different parts of different men. They had been buried and mixed together. DNA analysis linked the remains to the missing men from the village. The headlines exploded. A trusted gardener, polite, quiet, and well-liked by clients, had been using his landscaping business to hide the bodies of men he'd murdered. Police expanded their search to other properties where McArthur had worked, including rural lots outside the city. No additional remains were found, but the scale of the crime was already unprecedented in Toronto. Over months of interrogation and forensic work, detectives pieced together McArthur's pattern. He met victims through dating apps, often through using fake profiles, and he'd invite them to his apartment, restrain them, and then photograph them before and after death. Hundreds of photos were found on his computer, meticulously cataloged. McArthur pled guilty in 2019 to 8 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. One man had been hunting in plain sight, driving his red van from garden to garden, concealing death beneath the soil. I'm Diablo Dark, and this is Crime Scene Toronto. Behind every skyline lies blood in the bricks.